Hi, just daydreaming out the window, dropped into hypnosis, thinking about actually spring's coming, looking in my garden, and I can see all the daffodils and tulips all popping up. The thing with where I live, in Clanfield, we always flower 2 weeks after everyone else. So when I'm driving to work and I see all the tulips, I think, oh, in another couple of weeks, so they're all dying off and mine are all flowering. And a lighter evening, so hopefully you're starting to feel a bit more yourself in these very trying times of this pandemic and lockdowns and restrictions and not being able to go out in the evenings and everything else. And what's happening, anxiety is going through the roof. And yes, I get anxious at times because I miss my old life. I miss going out dancing. I miss being. Can you imagine this? Just imagine, if you like, being in crowds of people, being in a crowd of people, all dancing and arms in the air. Wow, I miss those times so much. But fingers crossed, for the next few years I may be able to do it again, as long as I'm still capable. So anxiety, most of the things that we're hearing about is stress. There's increases in shingles, panic attacks, and general worrying and everything else, because these are trying times and it's never been done by anyone before. I keep thinking the poor parents at home with their children, you know, almost a year off of school now, and parents trying to be teachers, and I'm sure some of you are doing a very successful job. And so in some way, every single one of us, this pandemic has affected our lives in some way or the other. And this month I decided to blog on my LorraineGleeson.com website about hair pulling, because that is also stress related very, very often. When you're worrying, you're twiddling with your hair and pulling it out. And it's one of the things that before I became a hypnotherapist, I did not realise how many people actually do pull their own hair out. Oh, painful. And as I said in my blog, sometimes I find, you know, people have pulled out eyelashes. And it's not very pleasant. The strange thing is people are very good at hiding the fact that they're pulling their hair out. And it very often starts with just twiddling with your hair and then twiddling with it more and more and more. And hypnotherapy can help. Very often we start our habits, our skills, without consciously knowing why we do them. And the thing is, with our subconscious mind, one of the most important jobs for the subconscious is to relieve stress. And there's many, many, many ways for the subconscious mind to relieve stress. Sometimes it's by making you lose your temper. For me, the way my mind deals with stress is I have a rash that comes up, fortunately, under my arm. And sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes I don't even know that I am stressed. And then this rash comes up under my arm and I think, oh, I wonder what I'm stressed about. And it's the same with a lot of our habits. And the thing with the subconscious mind, because it only cares about you, once you're stressed, it finds a way to help relieve stress from you, whether it's physically through your body or psychologically through your body. As far as the subconscious is concerned, that it's done its job. So hair pulling is the one that I've had 3 or 4 clients recently with hair pulling. And over the years, I've had quite a lot with hair pulling as well. Oddly enough, thinking about it, it's mainly been women. It might be the fact that more women, not being sexist here, but more women do have longer hair than men. I know some men have long hair, some women have short hair. But it does seem to be the ones that seek for help are mainly women. Whereas a lot of the other things that I work with, it's 50-50. So how does it work? Well, you come along, or online, whichever way you've chosen to book, and it's quite simple. you want to stop pulling your hair out. So we all know where you want to be. You know when you do it, not consciously know, but you notice you may do it when you're stressed more, or when you're concentrating, or when some people do it when they're sleeping. So you know when you do it. I explain all what hypnosis is, which if you've never been hypnotised, it is lovely. I see a therapist every 6 weeks, which is part of, it's great because it's my time when I can offload how I'm feeling and how me to stay upbeat during lockdown. And then you go into hypnosis, and the way I work is I use a technique called IMR, which is choosing your finger. It's the technique that I have absolutely developed over the 17 years that I've been a hypnotherapist. And to me, it is the most amazing technique because it bypasses that conscious part of you that thinks, well, do I do it with this, and do I do it, and you know how we, because if you could work it out consciously, you would. People aren't stupid. So it bypasses that and finds out if it's a cause that we need to look at, or if it's a habit you've got yourself into, or if it's a part of you that wants to, I know it sounds ridiculous, but part of you that thinks pulling out your hair relieves the stress, which actually with most of you it adds to the stress, but hey. And then we'll start doing some really positive suggestions to help you to change the way you're thinking. Now the thing with hypnotherapy, and I do get all these hypnotists and all these one-shot wonder techniques, they do have a degree of success, and they do. You know, you can walk in with a problem, walk out with it, but has it gone forever? Sometimes you need to deal with what causes you to do something. Absolutely what causes. So with this technique, it finds out, do we need to deal with the cause, or do we need to deal with the habit? And at the second session, that's the session where we deal with causes, deals with habit. Now, very often hypnoanalysis, I think it's RTT, I can't remember the name of it, and all that, they will bump you all the way through, torture you, go from one traumatic event to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. But the odd thing is, doing it that way, you're looking for trauma. Whereas, believe it or not, some of your habits haven't come from trauma. There's a thought. And if you think about it, the subconscious, all it wants to do is relieve stress. So when you are upset, what the subconscious tends to do is use something that made you feel good when you were very, very young. And the lady in my blog I talked about, it went back to when she was a very little girl, and she absolutely loved her mother, and she would sit on mummy's lap, and she loved twiddling with her mum's long hair. So as she got older and stress hit her life, subconscious thought, oh, she loves twiddling with hair, stress relief. But then as her stresses became not bigger, but more stressful, so she started twisting it even more and more and more, until eventually it turned into hair pulling. Tanya had consciously forgotten when she was a little girl how much she loved that special time with her mum. So it formed this habit that when she was stressed or concentrating or doing anything, she would pull her hair out, which once we dealt with that, we then go on and we build inner self-belief, inner confidence and other things. You know, another lady I worked with, her mum used to pull her hair out, and that was the cause. She used to see her mum doing, not literally, but twisting her hair. We dealt with the cause, and hey presto, a few sessions later. So although very often you can, some things, get rid of the problem in one session, if you've had a habit for years and years and years, the subconscious mind, once that habit's gone, it will find another way of relieving stress. So unless you build inner self-belief and have a few extra sessions to build confidence, inner self-belief, and to change that habit into a more positive habit, if you only have the one, 10, 20 years later you might have another bad habit. So if you are one of those that have got habits that you really don't want, and you don't understand why you're doing it, and it's actually stressing you out by doing it, maybe give me a call. I like this, give me a call, or you can give me an email and we could have a little conversation. And as I say, I do work online now as well as in the therapy room. Okay, enjoy the spring that's just around the corner.